이번에는 나라 밖 소식입니다. 새해를 열며 우리 민족의 가장 큰 기도 제목은 남북 간의 진정한 평화와 화해일 겁니다. 남북이 한자리에서 예배를 드리는 꿈이 머지않아 이루어지길 바라는데요. 100여 년 전만 하더라도 평양은 동방의 예루살렘이었고 한반도 기독교의 부흥을 이끈 기적의 땅이었습니다. 미국 기자의 눈으로 전하는 평양 대부흥의 역사입니다.
Pyongyang, January 14th, 1907. A group of Korean Christians and Western missionaries are meeting for a Bible study in a church on the outskirts of the city. Halfway through, God begins to move in a powerful way. One by one, the men confess their sins to each other, sins of racial prejudice, hate, anger, and jealousy. God answers, and revival breaks out. In the ensuing months, thousands repented publicly, including elders of churches and foreign missionaries serving in Korea. Thus began the Great Pyongyang Revival of 1907.
Churches were sprouting up everywhere, and they were growing fast.
Prayers of repentance swept across the Korean peninsula. People walked hundreds of miles to attend revival meetings. The revival lasted 40 years, touching all levels of society, including those in political power. Andrea Lankov is a professor of Asian history in Seoul.
Pretty much every single important North Korean communist, any Korean communist of the 40s and 30s, 20s came from a Christian family, with very few exceptions.
Even North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un was exposed to Christianity. His great-grandparents were active members of a Protestant church.
In Korea, Christianity was a religion of modernity, modernization, progress, science, technology.
But the brutal 40-year Japanese occupation of Korea tested the faith of these believers.
And according to eyewitness accounts, Christians were enduring so much persecution, but in the midst of persecution, God was moving in tremendous ways.
By the late 1940s, some 3,000 churches were operating in Korea. Illiterate people began reading the Bible. Missionary schools and hospitals were being built.
It was maybe the greatest success story of the American, not only American, Protestant missionaries in East Asia.
But today the story of Pyongyang could not be more different. Christians now are routinely tortured, raped, starved, and executed.
It's one of the most repressive policies in regard to religions the world has ever seen. They are worse than Stalin. They are probably as bad as Mao. They are probably slightly better than Pol Pot.
Korean Christians have held prayer rallies like this one, asking God to reunite and revive their nation. David Yonggi Cho, a South Korean, pastors the largest church in the world. For decades, he's been preparing teams of young pastors to be ready to share the gospel once the doors open in the north.
We are praying that God will speed up the intervention to North Korea.
Cho and others are calling on the global church this week to remember those suffering for their faith and to pray that God will bring another revival in North Korea.